customer service and relationships, and we would be grateful for the opportunity to serve you. Give us a call at 402-477-4660. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Grandma and Grandpa, Mom and Dad, then the kids, and now the grandkids. Judson Irrigation has provided lawn sprinkler system design, installation, repair, and service to 4 generations. They're just like members of the family. Loyalty, trust, service. It's what you deserve and expect from Judson Irrigation.
Keep summer green. Call Judson Irrigation 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
If you're interested in installing solar panels in Nebraska, there's a name you need to know. Solar by Alpine Electric is based out of Lincoln, and you can be sure your project will be handled with care and detail because Rick, the owner of Solar by Alpine Electric, will be involved in the entire process from start to finish. We're an REC Solar Certified Pro installer and handle jobs in Lincoln and the surrounding area. Let us show you real-time results in your area. Call Rick today at 402-440-4371. Solar by Alpine Electric.
Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul. Smoked meats, amazing sides. The only problem when they fix you a plate is that at some point, that plate will be empty. But hear me out. What if that plate was never empty? That dream can be your reality with the Mary Ellen's Express Lunch Buffet. From 11 to 2 every Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and even Saturday. One price, all you can eat, and it even comes with a drink. Tell your boss you're taking a long lunch and get down there. Mary Ellen's Food for the Soul at 29th and Pine Lake. Let them fix you a plate.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today, located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
Are you a veteran looking for a new companion animal? A dog, a cat, or maybe something else? The Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs Vets Get Pets program can cover up to $350 of your pet adoption fees. Visit veterans.nebraska.gov/vetsgetpets to learn more about program requirements and how to apply. Want to help support the program? Get your Vets Get Pets specialty license plates from the Nebraska DMV. Sponsored by the Nebraska Department of Veterans Affairs. Aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Junior Achievement of Lincoln inspires and prepares young people for success. Learn more about the people involved in the organization and the success stories over the years each Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. for the Junior Achievement Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Bud Seinhorst, President and CEO of LIBA, the Lincoln Independent Business Association. Join us every Saturday from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket for the LIBA Business Hour, as we discuss local business and highlight those who are thriving in the Lincoln area. It's the LIBA Business Hour, Saturdays from 9 to 10 a.m. on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. The home of Kansas City Royals baseball. KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. This is Adam Carriker on The Ticket.
Position right of the quarterback, out of the shotgun, first and 20. Jailbreak screen in the air. It is tipped. It is intercepted by Carriker at the Missouri 21-yard line.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, 8-year NFL vet and All-American defensive lineman Adam Carriker.
Shotgun snap to Everett. He's got the left arm going, and now he's got a whole lot of Adam Carriker who rips him down inside the 25-yard line.
On 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Here's your host, Adam Carriker.
Welcome, everybody, to Adam Carriker on The Ticket each and every Monday, barring high school sports and national holidays, because obviously those are far more important. But each and every Monday from noon to 1 p.m. Central Time, grab lunch, join yours truly, the fastest hour in radio each and every week, Adam Carriker on The Ticket. I'm just going to be honest with you. I've always got a loaded show. When you're doing a show once a week for an hour, there's plenty of stuff to talk about. Today is extra loaded. Just some of the things on the docket, and I didn't get to this last week, so I honor my word. I'm going to get to it this week. I want to talk about this happened a while ago, but I have not talked about it here on this phenomenal station, 93.7 The Ticket, just yet. So I want to talk about the Big Ten's media rights, $350 million deal. Also, is it possible? Can the Big Ten keep growing? The answer is yes. I don't know that people will like what I have to say about it, but at this point, why does anybody even pretend to do what's right? We're just going to do what's best for ourselves and our own conference because that's just the world we live in. All right. Also, Nebraska's 2025 college football schedule came out. The gauntlet of all gauntlets, ladies and gentlemen. I also want to share, if you haven't heard some of Trev Albert's brief comments on that, my thoughts on his brief comments. Also, the Big Ten's protected rivals. I guess we're going to be playing Iowa going forward. Who do I wish would have been on that list, on our list of protected rivals? Because I only saw Iowa. There was at least one more school I wanted to see on there. All right, the SEC. They're only going to play 8 conference games going forward because they're special. They're super duper special. We're going to chat about that, but we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on it because why? And then we got some recruiting news to chat about. All right, the ongoing landscape of recruiting in college football. Let's be honest, it never really truly stopped, whether it's a dead period, whether it's not. All right, my former teammate, one of my favorite guys I ever played with, Pork Chop, Mr. Cory Ross, will be joining us. And I got a whole list of questions I've been waiting to ask that man for years, and I'm excited to do so today. Now, I want to launch, a new segment. The last 5 to 10 minutes of this show, each and every day, I want to dub it the People's Segment. Because here's what I want to do. I'm live right here, right now. I want you to ask me questions, and I want to say that last 5 to 10 minute segment, the People's Segment, and I want it to be nothing but fan questions each and every week. Now, here's where to send the questions. Call or text 402-464-5685. 402-464-5685. Send them throughout the show. Okay. Rico, the best producer under God's hot sun, we'll keep a tab on them, and we will go through them at the end of the show. Again, that's 402-464-5685. Before we light this candle, I want to give a shout-out to our sponsor. I'm sure you've driven by GE Landscape and Supply countless times, likely without even knowing, at 6701 Cornhusker Highway. Now it's time to stop in. GE Landscape Supply sells to homeowners and contractors with a vast selection of landscaping and construction materials. They sell in bulk to save you money. Buy anything from a 5-gallon bucket to a semi-load. And don't forget, they deliver anywhere, nearby or far away. Stop by at 6701 Cornhusker Highway from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturdays. Go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info or call 402-467-1627. Now, this Big Ten media rights deal. All right. Big Ten media signed a deal with NBC. All right. Now, NBC expects this. They have such high expectations for this deal. It's a $350 million. Do you see how I pronounce that? $350 million deal for the Big Ten rights for NBC. All right. Now, to them, and they even said this, and I just mentioned it. I'll repeat it again real quickly. It's the biggest acquisition that NBC has made, in their opinion, since they acquired NFL Sunday Night Football package all the way back in 2005, nearly 2 full decades ago. Now, what are they going to get? They're going to get 14 to 16 Big Ten games a season up to the 2029 season. Peacock gets 8 additional football games and 77 regular season men's and women's basketball games. Big Ten on NBC and Peacock. Now, here are some of the things that NBC's added over the years. This is how big the Big Ten Conference is becoming. It's literally coast to coast, all the way from Piscataway, New Jersey. That will never not be fun to say, to 1 year from now, all the way out to California, Los Angeles, California. We're literally coast to coast come 1 year from now, the Big Ten Conference. Okay, and the SEC, right now, we're everybody's trying to catch the SEC in football, so to speak, all right? But they're very regional. I think at some point, having this coast-to-coast type of philosophy that the Big Ten has adopted is going to benefit the Big Ten big time, okay? But since 2005, NBC has also acquired NASCAR in 2013, Notre Dame football, the English's premier soccer league, even WWE. All of WWE, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, everything is now on Peacock, okay? Now, before you laugh, most of you know I'm a pro wrestling fan. Okay, it is predetermined, not fake, just putting that out there. The WWE before you laugh, they're a $9 billion company. Okay. All right. Their annual net income is $195.6 million. Their operating income is up 11% over the past year, 11% in just over a year to a record $283.3 million. Okay. That doesn't even include Raw, Monday Night Raw on USA, which is their flagship show. SmackDown, which is actually on Fox. Okay. The Big Ten, the expectations are larger per NBC. Why? Because it's a wider audience. I just talked about coast to coast. And the English Premier Soccer League, you're going to have a hard time finding fans that are as passionate as soccer fans. And by the way, don't call it soccer. If you're talking to them, call it football. We're American football because that's how they view it. By the way, Ted Lasso, a great show. If you haven't ever seen it, go check it out. All right. But here's why they think the Big Ten can surpass anything they've done since 2005, talking about NBC and this deal and why they did the deal. Because they believe Big Ten college football fans are just as passionate as English Premier Soccer, or in their word, football fans, but there's a bigger audience. Okay. And so that's why they're so excited about this deal. Now, I had someone actually ask me this question. I thought it was a fun question, so I thought I would answer it here. I've answered it one other place, but not here. Can the Big Ten actually keep growing? The answer is yes. The ACC, they got their Magnificent Seven that is formed. At least I believe that's what it's called. ACC's Magnificent Seven. And they're trying to see if they can't get out of the ACC, so to speak, get out of their contract that they're stuck in. That Magnificent Seven consists of North Carolina, NC State, not Duke, Miami of Florida, Florida State, Clemson, Virginia Tech, and Virginia, and Louisville. Louisville was left out of this, which I thought was interesting. Okay. But when I was asked, how can the Big Ten keep expanding? I'm not going to lie. Yeah, there's a way to keep expanding. I don't know if people are going to like what I have to say, but I'll start with this. Add Notre Dame. Geographically makes a lot of sense. I know that Notre Dame has way more ties to the ACC, but the ACC isn't exactly the strongest thing on planet Earth at the moment, which I just discussed. They're not even that great at basketball anymore, at least right now. If North Carolina Duke could make a comeback, that would help. Maybe they could do that in the Big Ten if they decide to jump ship from the ACC. But here's how the Big Ten could grow. Add Notre Dame. And here's where it gets hairy, ladies and gentlemen. Then just keep poaching teams. Don't pretend to give a crap about what's right now. Let's go out and destroy the Pac-10. Okay? Go after Oregon, which has over 4 million people in that state, plus Nike. Washington. All right? Washington State was actually one of my favorite teams growing up, so I feel bad saying this. But Washington, and that state has nearly 8 million people population-wise, if you're talking about these TV deals, which are the main revenue driver nowadays, even more so than people in the stands, even more so than merchandise and soda and things that are sold during games. All right, Utah. All right, BYU just went to the Big 12. Utah, even better than BYU, typically, more often than not. Then you can go south if you want. About Miami of Florida, or FSU, or Clemson, or North Carolina, if you want to add a name brand basketball school, or Duke. I prefer Carolina because they're a little bit better at football, better at baseball as well. So I'm not going to lie. I'm involved in a lot of youth sports, and I hate it when coaches poach, and I hate it when people do all these underhanded things to try to win with 8, 9, 10, 11-year-old kids. It's pathetic. But college football is big business. And like I said, it may not be right, but why pretend to give a crap about what's right at this point? It's obvious what's going on. Who's going to survive? Who's going to grow? Because if you ain't growing, you're barely hanging on, and then you may not be around pretty soon. So it may not be the right thing. But if the Big Ten's going to keep growing, and eventually I could see where we could end up with 2 main conferences 10 years from now. Big Ten, SEC. I mean, the Pac-10 without USC and UCLA is barely hanging on. The ACC's Magnificent Seven clearly isn't thrilled with what they're dealing with there. Okay. The Big 12 was thought to be on the way to being dead a few years ago. They're hanging on for now. How strong are they really going to be once Oklahoma and Texas leave? All right. Now TCU and Kansas State, they were the 2 teams in the Big 12 football championship game a year ago. They're not Oklahoma, Texas. But we do know historically those are the 2 big name brand programs, which is why the SEC welcomed them with open arms. So I'm interested. It's curious. It's interesting to me, and I'm curious because I think football's the conference realignment is just going to keep changing and growing. And 5 years from now won't look the same. And 10 years from now may not be recognizable. The ACC's Magnificent Seven, again, North Carolina, NC State, not Duke, Miami of Florida, Florida State, Clemson, Virginia Tech, Virginia, and Louisville not included. Where are they going to end up? Are they going to stay in the ACC? Are they all going to go somewhere together? Just think about if the Big Ten added Oregon, Washington, okay? And I know some people are going to throw Stanford out there. Fine. I don't care. What if they added Miami? What if they added Clemson? Schools like that, North Carolina. I think you could get up to 20 teams, have 2 10-team divisions. Trev Alberts is already talking about the non-conference schedule needs to be lighter. So if you have 20 teams, 2 10-team divisions, you have 9 non-conference games. They could all just be your division opponents. And then you got 9 conference games, all your division opponents, and then 3 non-conference games. There's your 12 games. So you can play everybody in your division. You actually have a true division champion, because right now a lot of times the division champions are decided by, who the better team is, but who has the easier schedule. Let's be real. That has a big impact. So let me know your thoughts. Am I crazy on this? Do you hate what I'm saying? Is it just realistic in the world we live in? Let me know. 402-464-5685. And once again, I'm just going to throw it out there. I see in the medium, I was going to say near future or not so near future, in the medium future, 5 to 10 years, 2 dominant conferences, the Big Ten and the SEC. The SEC in football is going to be ahead, but I do think the Big Ten being coast to coast, and then if they added a North Carolina name brand basketball school, especially if they can get back to being North Carolina in basketball, if they added a Florida school, the recruiting that would help, the expansion from Northeast all the way out west to now Southeast. I mean, that would be huge, being a national brand versus just regionally in the South, which could be a mistake that the SEC is making potentially. All right, now I do want to get on to the next topic. My next topic being this. Nebraska's 2025, and let me know your thoughts to what I just said. Send in your questions, send in your comments, your concerns, okay? And I will address them at the end of this program, the fastest hour in radio each and every week, the last 5 to 10 minutes of People's segment, okay? But now I want to talk about Nebraska's 2025 schedule. A lot of you have seen it. If you haven't, it is not easy. All right, we got Akron, okay? Then at Cincinnati, this team that was in the college football playoff 2 years ago. I believe they finished ranked a year ago, almost won their conference championship again. They're going to the Big 12, so that's going to be a Power 5 conference team on the road. Okay? Louisiana Monroe, Maryland. And I'm just going to read. I'm not going to try to go in order. I'm just going to read some of the other teams. USC, top 10 football program of all time. Ohio State, same thing. Michigan, same thing. Then you got UCLA. Then you've got our big rival, okay, Iowa. Minnesota, who consistently plays us tough. You look at this schedule, and it's a pretty tough schedule. It is pretty brutal. It's going to be fun to watch. I like that. That excites me. Let me know your thoughts on Nebraska's 2025 college football schedule. It's like a bunch of bowl games, I feel like, especially with USC, UCLA, just in the regular season. And it's going to be, Matt Rule will have had some time to build this program up a little bit. How's he going to do? How are they going to fare with this tough competition? Now, one thing that Trev Alberts did say, and I quote, "The reality is you play in the Big Ten Conference and you add USC and UCLA. There is nobody's schedule that you look at and go, wow, this is easy." End quote. All right. Now, Trev also went on to talk about how a lighter non-conference load may be necessary. You know what? I don't disagree. I've always really disliked, disagreed, despised teams that just play easy non-conference schedules. And I get it. Back when Bill Snyder took over Kansas State and they were awful, he was just trying to get his guys to win some games, and then he built them up. And even when they were built up, he kept that non-conference cupcake schedule. In 98, when they were supposed to be so good and they were number one in the nation at one point, they still had a cupcake non-conference schedule. Well, conferences have gotten a lot tougher. So I don't disagree with Trev in his thoughts of maybe if you're going to play 84,000 teams that are that good, I'm rounding down, maybe you don't want to beat yourself up in the non-conference. And you look at the SEC. I've always been, hey, schedule at least one tough non-conference opponent and some other tune-up warm-ups, get guys in, get them reps, get your backups ready. Okay, don't beat up your starters, get them ready for the conference games once it rolls around, but always one non-conference tough opponent. I've always been that type of advocate. But when your conference schedule looks like this, I get what Trev's saying. But you look at the SEC, they're like, we're just going to do what we want. So Tom Chattel, a couple days ago, talked about at some point 9 games would cost the SEC a college football playoff spot, or not having 9 conference games. I'm sorry, not having 9 conference games would cost the SEC a college football playoff spot or a bowl appearance. And when I saw that, I was like, nah, I don't agree. All due respect to Tom. I mean, he's phenomenal. I just no, the SEC gets everything they want. And and they're really good. They're top heavy. Okay, they're very top heavy. But those teams at the top are very good, and they keep winning national titles, and they keep getting wins in the college football playoff. Like, what are you going to say? They're going to get the benefit of the doubt whether we like it or not. Want to change that, we got to start beating them. It's that simple. Other conferences got to start beating them. And the SEC came out and was like, we're going to stay with our 8-game conference schedule. Why would we change? We're not going to be punished, which they won't, until we start beating them. If we start beating them, hopefully we can get to that point. And I'm talking about the rest of America. Until that happens, they're going to stick with an 8-game conference schedule because it behooves them. It helps them. They're probably going to keep that second glorified bye week. In other words, Auburn and Alabama play at the end of the year. Georgia Tech play. More often than not, they schedule a really easy non-conference game right before their big rivalry games. SEC teams tend to do that. Why would they change that? They've been given no reason, no motivation. They've never been punished. No reason, no motivation to change it. So why would they? Hopefully we can give them one over time. All right, again, call or text your questions, 402-464-56850. We'll get to them at the end of the show. We're going to stockpile them. Call it the People segment at the end of the fastest hour in radio each week here on The Ticket every Monday from noon to 1 p.m. Central Time. All right, got a little bit of recruiting news. A couple of thoughts. All right, Mario Buford, a 4-star defensive back out of Texas, the brother of current safety Marquise Buford. He's a 2024 commit. All right, this is a talented dude. This is a dude that's got some ability. He's a guy we should be excited about. I feel better. I don't tend to pay a ton of attention to commitments because guys decommit, because guys come here and they transfer. So how much value and stock can you really put into a commitment? I put a little bit more into this one simply because Mario Buford, his brother, as I mentioned, safety Marquise Buford is already here. So there's a tie. So I would think there'd be a little bit more of a meaning to playing for Nebraska, probably a little bit more meaning to the commitment. All right, now you look at 2025 commit Tyson Terry, a 3-star defensive lineman out of Omaha. He can play offensive or defensive line. He's also a state champion heavyweight wrestler. Now it's interesting. I was asked, how important is it to keep dipping into Texas for recruits, and also the importance of in-state recruiting and getting a big dude who's a high-level wrestler? It's interesting because when I started coaching football, my son was 9, and I couldn't help but notice immediately. I had the 24 kids on the team, or 23, whatever we had. There was like 6 kids who wrestled, 18 who had not. Immediately, it became incredibly obvious. The kids who had wrestled were catching on to football very quickly, comparatively speaking, to those who had not wrestled. There's a lot of carryover, a lot of translation, especially in the trenches. Learning to get low, learning to use leverage, things of those in nature. Wrestling builds toughness too, which obviously translates over to football. And tackling came a lot easier and quicker, I should say, to those who are used to wrestling. So I've always thought wrestling, especially in the trenches or guys on defense who are going to open field tackle a lot more, I always thought it benefited them. Okay, now as far as dipping into Texas and in-state recruits, I would love, and obviously Coach Matt Rule has ties to the state of Texas from his days in Baylor and beyond. I think having USC and UCLA join the conference is going to open up some recruiting doors to California, because right now the Big Ten is the only conference at this moment, right here, right now, in this moment in time, with no ties to the 3 major recruiting grounds, which is California, Texas, Florida. We have none. So if Matt Rule has ties to maybe building a recruiting pipeline back to Texas for Nebraska, that'd be great. If the Big Ten can start to recruit California a little more. That'd be great. California, USC, UCLA has been awful at keeping their recruits in state. Awful. Okay. So I think getting into Texas, having the opportunity to get into California, that's going to help the Big Ten immensely. All right. Getting guys to commit this far in advance. When you talk about a guy like Tyson Terry, class of 2025, they're going into their junior years of high school. How big is that? Well, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. But I think you've got to continue to recruit them because, as I just mentioned, guys decommit all the time and they go somewhere else. You got to keep their attention. You got to continue to recruit them. They've obviously got to continue to play well. They got a lot of high school football still in front of them. Recruiting is happening earlier than I've ever seen in my life. Guys are committing earlier, and that's great. But you got to continue to recruit them, and they got to continue to play well. You know, you can't all of a sudden your last year or two of high school just kind of, oh, I'm committed here. I'm just going to kind of phone it in a little bit. No, that should be motivation to work that much harder. And so recruiting Texas, building a pipeline, I think could be awesome. I think in-state recruiting, I've already talked about that numerous times in the past. You got to be a good football player first. People, I mentioned this before, when they're like, oh, you're overvaluing in-state recruits. Why would you take a Nebraska kid over someone else if they're not that good? Well, why would you recruit somebody who's not that good no matter where they live? You got to be good at football first. But all things created equal, I will take someone who wants to play closer to home as much as I possibly can because it's going to mean more to them. They're less likely to go somewhere else. They're less likely to transfer. They're more likely to put in time and effort the closer they are to home. And I'm not saying you have to be from Nebraska for it to matter to you. That's obviously not correct. All right. The Peter brothers, New Jersey. Tommy Frazier, Florida. I was born in Hastings, but when I was 3, I moved up to state of Washington, grew up state of Washington. But I grew up watching Nebraska every single Saturday with my dad, who's the biggest Husker fan I've ever met in my life. So it's got to matter to you, no matter where you're from. And opening up some of these recruiting doors, whether it be in-state, Texas, California, or otherwise, could benefit Nebraska in a big way, as long as they're the right type of players. All right. Don't go anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We will be right back with one of my former teammates and one of my favorite teammates of all time, Mr. Cory Ross. Don't go anywhere.
Look at your car. It's filthy and probably has a few dings and nicks all over it. Don't be that guy. Get it upgraded and repaired at Renew Your Auto. At Renew Your Auto, they offer tons of services: ceramic coating, window tinting, paintless dent repair, washes and details, bed liners, body shop, and more. Where can you go to get services like that all in one place? Schedule your appointment today at renewyourauto.com. See what Renew can do for you.
Summertime is in full swing, and it's time to get to work on outdoor projects. Deck City is a great place to start as Lincoln's local source for everything decks. Deck City has everything you need to build the deck of your dreams, from treated lumber to Westbury aluminum railings and TimberTech composite decking. They offer advice from real deck professionals to give you proper guidance to make your project go smoothly. Call them today to schedule an appointment at 402-480-6671. Go online at deckcityne.com or visit their new location just north of 33rd and Cornhusker Highway. Deck City, your local deck experts.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and our big summer sales event is underway this month. Right now, get 0.9% interest rates. Yes, you heard right. 0.9% APR on select new Chevrolet and GMC vehicles, plus a $1,500 trade-in bonus on select Silverados and Sierras. You put all that together with some big Koppel discounts, and you have a tremendous buying experience. So stop on into the dealership or check us out online at koppelcars.com. You'll be glad you did. All deals with approved credit.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club or space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about a margarita club? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge and join the best club in town. 10 flavors of margaritas like Maui Wowie, burnt pineapple, and mango tango. Try all 10 of them and receive your own souvenir margarita glass. Make it your new Monday night tradition. $4 margaritas and $4 taco baskets. Grab the crew and head on over Monday nights or any night. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Hey, it's Nicklin Hames from Nebraska Volleyball. I hate wasting time in practice, and I want to help you stop wasting your time when you're looking for an electrician. High Electric has been serving the area for over 30 years for both residential and commercial properties. They are experts in everything like remodeling, new additions, hot tub installation, and more. And they take jobs from Beatrice to Omaha and all towns, big or small, in between. Call them today at 402-466-6606 or learn more at high-electric.com.
What's the most important thing about Warhorse Casino Lincoln? The people. The people who come to play and the people who make it all possible. Our team of trailblazers are the spirit behind everything we do. Join the Warhorse Casino family for a one-of-a-kind career. We're looking for driven individuals for our team in areas such as accounting, cashiering, currency drop and count, food and beverage, housekeeping, and more. Our team members are eligible for insurance and earn paid time off from day one. Not to mention paid holidays, 401k matching, discounts on meals, and the opportunity to advance at a growing company. If you're ready to blaze the trail, come to our next career fair on June 15th. We'll be interviewing on the spot from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Warhorse Gaming Office, located at 3730 South 14th Street in Lincoln. Fill out your application ahead of time to expedite the process and view all open positions at warhorsecasino.com. Get in the game today.
Motor Food is Lincoln's hardest rocking food truck and cafe. Motor Food creates old school comfort food with a 21st century twist and lots of rock and roll attitude. Try the barbecue pulled pork mac and cheese, the grilled chicken Firebird sandwich, a 100% all beef split grilled hot dog, and any version of their funky fries. Stop by the cafe just behind Outback Steakhouse on 48th Street or catch the food truck out and about all spring and summer. Check out their menu, order carry out, or schedule catering at motorfoodtruck.com.
The Butchery by Venue is Lincoln's premier specialty grocers. Take the quality of Venue home with you with our hand-cut steaks, handcrafted burgers, and locally sourced offerings. Browse our wide selection of specialty products designed to enhance your dining experiences with cheeses, spices, sauces, and more. We also have an exclusive collection of liquors, whiskeys, and bourbons at prices you're sure to love. Stop in to the Butchery by Venue today, located in our Venue at Home storefront at 70th and Pioneers, just 2 doors down from Venue Restaurant and Lounge.
If you or someone you know is having thoughts of suicide or experiencing a mental health or substance use crisis, call 988 for free, confidential, and compassionate support. On July 16th, the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline is transitioning to 988. There is hope. For 24/7 support, call, text, or chat 988.
Sponsored by Nebraska DHHS, aired with the Nebraska Broadcasters Association and this station.
Junior Achievement of Lincoln inspires and prepares young people for success. Learn more about the people involved in the organization and the success stories over the years each Thursday from 7 to 8 p.m. for the Junior Achievement Hour on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Adam Carriker on The Ticket each and every Monday from noon to 1 p.m. All right, Mr. Cory Ross is on the line. But before we get to my good friend Cory Ross, all right, make sure you check out gelandscapesupply.com. For more info, call 402-467-1627. Also, the People segment is approaching. That's the segment at the end of the show, right after we finish interviewing one of the best Nebraska running backs of all time, Mr. Cory Ross. So send your questions. Call or text 402-464-5685. And I also realized that I forgot, I covered a lot of ground in that first 20, 25 minutes, but I forgot to chat about the Big Ten's protected rival, so I'm going to get to that in that last segment as well. But I want to bring on a former Nebraska team captain, the Huskers offensive MVP in 2004, 2005, two-time All Big 12 performer, twice on the Doak Walker Award watch list. Nebraska record holder for receptions, 9, and receiving yards, 131 in a single game by our running back, Mr. Cory Ross. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I appreciate that introduction.
Hey, man, all due respect to one of the best ever and one of the most fun guys to ever be around. And I got to hit you with the question. I don't know why I never asked you when we were in the same locker room. So I'm going to wait, I don't know, 10 years, 15 years down the road, and I'm going to ask you on the radio. So here we go. The nickname Pork Chop. Where'd that come from, my friend?
That came from, it's funny you say it came from Deontay Grigsby, but at the time, our running back coach at the time, and you know the running backs had nicknames all through there. And when I first got to Nebraska, that freshman year, Deontay greeted us and took me to his house. And everybody knows Deontay knows how to cook, so he threw down on a big pork chops and gravy meal, and it was really, really good, extremely good. I couldn't believe he cooked like that in college. And so I think I had about 2 or 3 of them. So we had conditioning that next day, and we was a running back group. And Deontay tells the group, Cory came over here and ate about 7 pork chops. And then it was Darren Dietrich goes, that's it, that's his name, pork chop. That's kind of how it came about. You know, everybody has all these other ideas, but that's kind of how it happened. I think Deontay started it, and Darren Dietrich made it happen.
Now, was that a nickname that you liked? Is that a nickname that you obviously embraced it? But what were your thoughts on that nickname when you first heard it?
You know what, it wasn't that bad. You know, I didn't understand it, and I started getting these, you're short and thick, just like a pork chop. All these ideas started coming. I was like, well, hey, I guess I'll embrace it. But only people that are allowed to call me that is people that played with me and earned those stripes with me. A couple of my players now I try to call, hey, Coach Pork Chop, and I give them that look, and they say, oh, I'm sorry, I apologize.
They ain't quite earned that right.
Earned that right.
Yeah. So going back to 2002, I did a little recon on you, my friend. You were 6th on the running back depth chart. Okay, now this was a fairly loaded running back room. There's a lot of guys that if I said their names, people would recognize them, you know, David Horn, guys of that nature. How did you climb to the top of that stacked running back room and the depth chart in that running back room?
You know, it was tough. You know, that's the one thing I remember coming to Nebraska about and talking to, you know, Ron Brown and you know, the running back coach. They said they'll give you an opportunity. You know, I went to training camp that year and battled out really, really well. And then I got hurt in training camp. I remember I ended up spraining my knee. So I went from, you know, battling for number 2 and number 3, you know, behind Darren to, you know, 6. And I just had to, because I think Darren was gone. It was Josh Davis and David Horn at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I still had Deontay Grigsby, Marcus Simmons. It was like you said. We just had a back full of guys. And so I just stayed patient, man. Stayed patient, and when my opportunity presented itself, I took advantage of it. And we had a game against KU. I remember like it was yesterday because my dad's from KU, and my brother was playing there as well. So when we had that game. The second half, you know, we weren't running the ball well. We weren't doing anything well. And Frank Solis came up to me and said, you're starting the second half. You know, and I didn't believe him. You know, I'm like, they're not going to let me play this. You know, I mean, I'm still 6 on the depth chart, but he said, you're playing the second half. So the time comes for me to go out there, and I was just looking. I was waiting. I was looking, and he turns and looks and said, Cory, get out there. So I was like, all right. And then I think it was like 18 carries, 100-something yards, and 2 touchdowns later. You know, that was an experience of life. I'll never forget that because my brother and I had about 30 or 45. My dad is from there. I had about 30 or 45 people there at that time, and they started a chant after we came back and won that game. And I remember like it was yesterday, Coach Solis came up to me right there while we was getting ready to walk off, and he said, enjoy this moment. You earned it. Because the whole crowd, like my brother and them started the chant. My whole family that was there, they started the chant. It was pretty crazy. And you know, the next week, you know, Coach Solis came up to me and said, we're going to start you against K-State.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That actually leads me into my next question. All right, what was your reaction when you found out our former coach, Frank Solich, was going to be honored at the spring game this year?
Oh, man, I wanted to come back for it. I mean, we're in season right now. I wanted to come back so bad. And then I ended up getting a text group. It was a big text group. I think Coach Soldier was in it. A whole bunch of former players was in it. So I was able to say my piece and tell him how, important he was to me. And even though, we went through the changes we went through, I never forgot, Frank Solich and the opportunity he gave me to be able to play and put my best foot forward. So, man, I absolutely thought that was awesome. I really wish I was there.
Because you had a lot of awesome moments at Nebraska, did a lot of awesome things, played in a lot of fun games. So when I was getting ready to chat with you, I was like, man, I wonder what Cory, so I'm going to ask you now, what are some of your favorite games that you played in during your time at Nebraska?
Well, one game for sure, and I don't think anybody would like this, but because it ended up being one of the toughest losses that Nebraska's took in a long, long time. I think that started the whirlwind of some of the losses we took. But when we played Penn State and Larry Johnson was there, we were in Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
That crowd was 100,000 people, and it was so loud. And I remember they put us in this locker room that it looked like it was trailer. I don't know if you remember that, like it was like a trailer locker room.
I remember.
That when we would walk to the field, it was like this tight rope. This really tight rope that led us to the field, and there was a whole bunch of their fans just talking mess and calling us all kind of crazy stuff. And I enjoyed every bit of it. I said, "This is pretty cool." We ended up losing that game pretty bad, and I still remember like this. I still have dreams about it. We are Penn State. That was so loud that day. Every time they scored, that row. That was a good game. But as far as the ones that are memorable for me, I think the Iowa State one was at home when we won in double overtime. I think that was the game where I had the receiving record. So running back, we ended up coming all the way back. And I had an interview with ABC the day before that game, and they asked me a perfect scenario. And I told them that I would score the game-winning touchdown in overtime. I literally told them that, the day before, and it ended up happening like that, and it was pretty crazy.
That's awesome. I remember that game, and that's one of the loudest game atmospheres I've ever been a part of. Double overtime. Iowa State's trying to score, and so we get the defensive call. We're on defense. I can't hear the call, and they're trying to repeat the call, and Lakeven Smith is right next to me. I'm like, dude, what is it? And he's yelling at me what it is. I can't hear what it is. And I'm like 3 feet from him. I have no idea what the call is. Oh, they're going up to the line of scrimmage. They're going to snap the ball. I'm like, well, all right. I'm just going to put my hand in the dirt and hit somebody really hard, because I didn't know if I was supposed to stun inside. Was I have contained? Was I supposed to drop? Which that wasn't likely, because I didn't do a whole lot of that. Was it just a straight rush? I had no freaking clue. So I just flew off the ball and kept contained. Luckily, they ran away from me. But yeah, dude, that's how loud and awesome an atmosphere that particular game was. And I remember when you did that, dude, it was bananas. That's one of the funnest atmospheres ever.
Crazy. I think I had one of my favorite scores as far as touchdowns go in that game. I took a screen pass for a touchdown, and that was the funnest screen pass I've ever ran in my life. And I remember Coach Jordan and Coach Coach Jordan came up to me, and he grabs me by my shoulder pad and says, "That was the craziest run I've ever seen." It was like that. I sometimes I do stuff. You know how it is. You do stuff and you don't even remember how you did it. Like,
yep.
Hey, I'm scoring. Wow, what happened?
Yep.
That's exactly how it felt. So it was awesome, man.
All right, let's talk a little current Nebraska football. Once again, loaded running backs room, a potential three-headed monster. We'll see who else could potentially emerge. But you got Gabe Ervin, 220, 225. Matt Rule talked about him in the offseason. Sounds like he's one of the fastest players on the team. You got Anthony Grant, who was our leading rusher a year ago, number one running back in JUCO, national player of the year when he got to Nebraska. Did some pretty good things last year. You got Ramir Johnson, who's a speed demon. And I think a lot of people forget 2 years ago when we were down some backs and he got a chance, he did really well.
Yeah.
So here's my question. What advice would you give them as far as becoming the starter or handling being a part of a rotation, whatever ends up happening in that running back room?
You gotta take every moment and embrace it. You know what I mean? Like literally take that moment, the opportunity you get, and you really have to embrace it. Because the running back by committee, it's so hard, you know, because as a running back, even for me, I needed to get into the groove. And I think going into my senior year, we started doing some running back by committee stuff. And so for my thought process, I was like, okay, we're going to do that. Okay, when I get the opportunity to, let me make sure I make the right read, I make the right cut, I tuck the ball, and I get positive yards every time. Because if you start getting that, then all of a sudden you start becoming a hot hand guy, you know. And so when you become a hot hand guy, they can't take you off the field. And so that thought process, when we started doing that, it was like, okay, you know what, this is where it goes. So I need to take every opportunity. I need to make sure I'm pass protecting the right people, going through my progression with that. Okay, picking up the blitzes when I need to, so they can't take me off the field, you know. And also when I get the opportunity to put the ball in my hand to make something happen, you know, whether it's 4 or 5 yards. Just make something happen that looks like you got some juice in you and you're ready to go. If you do that, you're going to be fine. If you just start running right into the back of people, things like that, and the committee starts, you know, going forward. But you just got to embrace the opportunity to get when you get the opportunity to get the ball, you got to embrace it and run with it and take advantage of it, you know. But when you do, if you don't, and you're running back by committee, man, you got to cheer on. You got to cheer on the next guy. You know, I had a great time with Brandon Jackson and Marlon Lucky that senior year. You know, when I got the opportunity, I was still getting balls, I was still getting catches, but they were getting opportunities to get, and they were young. And so as you get older, you're kind of like, man, that's awesome, because those young guys got to get the reps. You know what I mean? They got to get some reps at least, and you just got to be ready to be the big dog in the big game. You know, and so that's kind of how I took the approach and enjoyed every bit of my career in Nebraska.
Now, Coach Rule and Marcus Satterfield, they've made it clear Nebraska wants to get back to running the football. They're going to have a fullback. They're going to line up with tight ends. They want to be a physical running football team. Now, you know about running the ball. You know about being a great running back. So here's my question. What's the biggest key to the offense at Nebraska starting this upcoming season, getting back to being a physical, run-first offense?
Well, to me, you know, obviously you got to bring in a big run. You know, the blast, the powers, you know, the counters, the sweeps. Those are big runs that create different lanes for a running back to, you know, visualize. And now you got cutback lanes. You got all those. And I love when Bill Callahan came through and we started running stretch with our tight end. And that was a really good run because you got to force that decision to either go north-south or stay outside. So that was fun for me. But you have to really, to me, which is it's great to hear, but, you know, I have to see it, you know, because I love the fact that when we was in college, we had some tight ends. So if you can involve the tight end play and into the tight end pass plays into that scheme of a running back system, you know, you'll be tough, you know, especially if you got the guys. And we have, you know, we do have the guys. We got the guys, especially in the backfield, to make it happen. But inserting that fullback is going to be huge, man. I had some great ones, Dane Todd. I mean, you think about Dane, man. He made sure he knew every which way. Sometimes just following him helped me out. You know what I mean? So you got to have great fullbacks, and when you want to do that, and God, man, it'd be awesome to see again. You know, but incorporate that tight end pass play, the corners from the tight end. Spot routes, man, we enjoyed it. We had Matt Herron before he got hurt, man. He was having a special season. You know what I mean? So
I remember.
If we can incorporate them tight ends into the run scheme and the run play action. Oh, if our run play action can get built, oh man, we'll be tough. We'll be tough to stop.
Dude, Matt Herron was a matchup nightmare because he was too big for safeties and he was too fast for linebackers. Yeah. So, all right, my friend.
I remember that.
I appreciate you joining me. It's been too long in between these convos. Let's keep in contact a little bit better. How's that sound?
Absolutely, man. Anytime. Let me know, and I'll be ready to chop it up with you guys.
All right. Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, and we'll be right back.
If you're interested in installing solar panels in Nebraska, there's a name you need to know. Solar by Alpine Electric is based out of Lincoln, and you can be sure your project will be handled with care and detail because Rick, the owner of Solar by Alpine Electric, will be involved in the entire process from start to finish. We're an REC Solar Certified Pro installer and handle jobs in Lincoln and the surrounding area. Let us show you real-time results in your area. Call Rick today at 402-440-4371. Solar by Alpine Electric.
Several irrigation contractors in Lincoln go out of business every year, leaving sprinkler system orphans begging for service. The folks at Judson Irrigation shed a tear for these little fellas. They've been coddling these orphans for more than 40 years. From redesign, repairing, replacing, and restoring, remember the Judson Irrigation Orphanage.
Call the Judson Irrigation Orphanage 402-420-6277 or judsonirrigation.com.
A lot of businesses say that they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business feels anything but for your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, as they do with customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Gaina Trucking guarantees a 40-hour work week year-round, and their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
The weather is hot, the kids are out of school, and you're on your way to the lake and summer road trips. Are you getting to your vacation spot comfortably, or is your car letting you down? Mullen Motors Lot is full of great vehicles to take home, so you don't have to worry about your current car barely surviving another road trip. Come check out their lot just north of 48th and Layton and find your next ride for summer road trips and beyond. Mullen Motors.
No tag-ons, just quality vehicles. Mullen Motors.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere sprayer from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Leverage the industry's latest technology with See & Spray to target weeds in season, in corn and soybeans, and use less herbicide per acre. Utilize Exact Apply to save in chemical usage and prevent over-application. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location for full details and experience the Landmark difference.
You finally finished your man cave in the basement. Brand new furniture, huge TV, and all of your collector's items. You're ready for football season. You were so excited until one bad rain and it is all ruined. Don't risk a flooded basement and countless dollars in damages when it can be avoided. Call John Henry's today for a free sump pump estimate for your home.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing. Heating and air.
Repeat after me. I will not touch the fuse box.
I will probably not touch the fuse box.
Sip, do you remember what happened last time?
Yeah, I remember.
What happened?
Half of the city block lost power.
And?
My chicken condo went haywire.
That's right. The chickens ran wild. So what do we do instead?
Call Joe at Ambition Electric and let him handle everything. Look, saved on speed dial.
Ambition Electric, 402-217-3415 or online at ambitionelectric.com.
You're listening to Adam Carriker on The Ticket on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the final segment of the fastest hour in radio each and every week here on The Ticket, noon to 1 p.m. Adam Carriker on The Ticket, and it is time. We're rolling out a new segment, the People segment, where I answer your questions each and every week, and I'll get to as many as I can. Rico, my friend, producer, don't forget to type them out. So, a couple of things really quick before we get to your questions, and we will get to as many as we can. All right, do not forget to go to gelandscapesupply.com for more info. Call 402-467-1627. And as those questions keep coming in, I want to get to the one thing I did not get to earlier in the incredibly loaded first 20 to 25 minutes of this show. All right. The Big Ten's protected rivalries. All right. So most of you have maybe seen this. Maybe some of you haven't. Let's chat about this real quick. And the questions are rolling in. And I look forward to getting to them. Here are the protected games. Michigan, Ohio State. Makes sense. UCLA, USC makes sense. Minnesota, Wisconsin, Indiana, Purdue, Michigan State, Michigan, Iowa, Minnesota, Illinois, Northwestern, Iowa, Nebraska, Maryland, Rutgers. Those all make sense. I get it. Makes sense. I couldn't help but notice something. There's 15 schools listed on here. When USC and UCLA join the Big Ten, there's one school not listed. Unless I'm missing it, and I've read this thing about 15 times trying to make sure I did not miss Penn State. Do they not have a protected rival? I know their last game of the year every year right now is Michigan State. Michigan State probably looks at Michigan more of a rival. So I'm surprised they didn't protect that because they've been playing Michigan State to end their season for well over a decade, if not longer, way longer than that probably. But I was like, you know what? Nebraska and Iowa seems like a logical choice. Let's be honest. We beat them last year. We finally got bragging rights. We need to beat them more often. And then it could become more of an interesting rivalry, which I believe we will do once Matt Rule gets us rolling. But what about Nebraska, Penn State? Penn State's got no dance partner. If you remember all the way back to the beginning of the Big Ten, remember the horrifically horrible leaders and legends divisions? And we had cross-divisional rivalries that were protected then? It was Nebraska, Penn State. Now, it's two of the top 10 name brand college football programs of all time, number one. Penn State doesn't have a dance partner, number two. Okay. I like Nebraska, Penn State. I think it's fun. Cory Ross just talked about the atmosphere at Happy Valley. Unfortunately, that day was not so Happy Valley, but apparently Cory enjoyed it. But here's the other thing. We have history with Penn State. 1982, he catches the ball 85,000 yards out of bounds. They say he caught it. Penn State somehow beats Nebraska, goes on to win a national title. By the way, that was our only loss that year. 1994, Penn State fans are still claiming they're the co-national champs or the national champs. In fact, I know a Penn State fan. He has a New York Times article to this day because he showed me that declared Penn State national champs. So in his delusional little mind, in his bubble that he lives in, Elliott's actually a good guy. But I'm going to cut a little promo on him right now. Why? Because I can. He's not here to defend himself, so it's fun for me. He thinks Penn State's the 1994 national champs. My friend, you're wrong. Incorrect, not right. You're loony. I just think it would have been fun to play Penn State each and every year. Okay, instead, we're probably going to play USC, UCLA, Michigan, Michigan State, all the tough teams that they can think of because that's just what tends to happen. I say Matt Rule gets his program rolling. Going to be a 12 teams in the playoff anyways. A lot more fun games to watch anyways. All right, let's get to these fan questions. Longsker, the people segment. Let's do it. Longsker, do you think you are a better athlete than V? I clearly did not read this before I read it out loud. Then Veach, and then Vershawn Jackson. Oh, man. Well, okay. Of course I'm going to say yes, just because I'm a competitor. If you ask me if I'm better at Yahtzee than Vershawn Jackson, I'm going to say yes. But let's be real. Vershawn Jackson's a 3-time national champ. Okay, a former captain for the Huskers. He's a guy who played in the NFL. Okay, I actually asked him advice to give to my son, who's also a tight end. Vershawn said, catch the X when the ball's spinning, the end forms an X. And I was like, that's great advice. I never heard of it. Vershawn recently ran a 400-meter dash without passing out. So kudos to my man. All right, I hope that answered your question. All right, an unnamed texter, do me a favor. Send your name with all questions. He says, I know Georgia is really good, and I'm not saying they aren't. But take a look at their schedule. The schedule is a complete joke, loaded with gimmies. I do not disagree. It's kind of like what I talked about earlier. The SEC, until other top teams from other conferences start beating their top teams when it matters the most, bowl games, and especially the college football playoff, they're going to do what they want because they're perceived to be the best. And they tend to win the big games more often than not, even though they're top heavy, even though top to bottom, the Big Ten's a better conference. Until that day comes, when they start losing more of those games and we start winning them, and I'm saying the rest of America, yeah, everybody versus the SEC. Let's do this thing. I don't know what we're going to do. Plus, they're ridiculously talented. But, yeah, I'd like to see them play better teams, too. Chase B, did you ever have a nickname, Adam? I've had quite a few nicknames. First of all, very few people can pronounce my name right. Characters, there's no T in my freaking name. What the heck, people? Carriker was another one. Kick a car, Carrot Top. Those weren't really nicknames, just people kind of being punks, but having a good time. It was all in good fun, most of it. Some of the names I've actually had: Ace, Stuart Bradley was like, hey, your initials are AC. I'm going to call you Ace. So that was a good one. Let's see what else we had. I had table, which I was like, what? And it was one of our former assistant strength coaches. He goes, it looks like you have 4 legs. It looks like you have 4 legs like a table, which I took as a compliment, although originally I had to figure it out. Another couple of players that I played with over time called me the science experiment because I looked like I came out of the science lab. And at first I wasn't sure if I liked it, but then it seemed to be nice. So I've had a few in my day. Let's see. That covers all the questions each and every week, ladies and gentlemen, noon to 1 p.m. Central Time here on the Ticket, the fastest hour in radio, and the People segment to end the show. Just might become my favorite segment of every show. Until next time, Husker Nation, go Big Red, and always remember, throw the bones.
Usually, to get a skybox view of a Nebraska football game, you need to be a drone, a hawk, or a fighter jet. But sitting in an actual skybox is a lot more comfortable. So, enter the Nebraska Lottery's Lucky for Life ticket snap. Until July 10th, buy a Lucky for Life ticket and enter for a chance to win Nebraska football skybox season tickets or other great ticket prizes. Sure, fighter jets are cool, but there's no legroom.
Lucky for Life top prize odds 1 in 30 million.
Are you here for the job interview?
I just saw that ad that said, apply here for dream job.
What qualifications do you have?
What exactly would I be doing?
Well, this is a dream job. You would be daydreaming.
All day?